Peace and love. Welcome back to my channel. Minister Dionne here. This message is not going to be so easy for some of you to hear. And that's okay, because I came to reveal the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me. As a child growing up, I always was the one that questioned things, that would be what we call like the rebellious child, the black sheep, the one standing out. I had, in the religious world, we call a prophetess, my aunt being a prophetess. And she used to tell me as a child, like, you know, you're different, you're chosen. I really never knew what that meant. It took me a while to figure out, but I knew that I just didn't think the way that everybody did. I would go against the grain. I'd always feel like there's so much more to life. As a kid, I felt that deeply within my soul, like looking around like, what is everybody doing and why? Why are we living like this? And, you know, I watched my family struggle for some time, and I grew up very religiously. So you'll hear me saying that a lot. I grew up very religiously, meaning going to church habitually, like a ritual. And every time I went there, of course, you know, you have that message where you feel like the pastor's speaking directly to my soul. And I was like, okay, that's great. So I always felt like there's been a higher divine connection that exists. And I always felt that people that were like pushing the Bible on me, or like trying to preach to me, or, you know, the super duper saints that are the worst with, you know, they can have the worst attitude and be telling you and throwing scriptures at you. I had a lot of that experience growing up, and it just turned me away in so many ways. It just made me say, like, how does your life match up with what I felt I was still trying to find out about the divine, and whatever we want to call it here. I'm also very careful with my words that I choose, because some of us like God, some of us like to say the divine. Whatever it is that resonates with you, great. This is an opportunity for us to all learn and grow here. So I know we dove right in, and this conversation is really going to talk about Christ returning, Christ consciousness. And this will probably be a part 1, a part 2, will probably be multiple series, because this is such a deep rooted thing. And of course, in life, there's a lot of programming. We can talk about school being a level of programming. We can talk about whether we choose healthcare, that being a level of programming. We could talk about so many different levels of programming, and one being religion. And this has been a big, big, big level of programming for me, because the level of indoctrination that I have experienced in just growing up being very religious, it's a lot to climb out of that bag of programming and looking at our beliefs, right? Because anytime we have a deep belief about something, we will literally go to the ends of the earth standing on that. Like, but why is it that we don't go to the other side and start questioning, like, who did we learn this from? Where did this history stem from? And why don't we challenge those beliefs? And that is a part of the process in programming, is really going within and challenging the beliefs that you have. So that has been a part of my journey, is when it came to religion, which I feel like I saved the best for last. Many of you that know me in my spiritual awakening journey has been about status correction and becoming aware of the way that we have been programmed into the system and collateralized. That's another conversation for another day. However, going into this idea of religion being a program and a way of indoctrinating us, because if we knew, right? If we knew that no one was coming to save us but ourselves. And for many of you hearing this for the first time, my heart to you, seriously, because you can look at, like, let's just give some realistic thoughts right here. You can look at many family members or friends that believed in Jesus and believe to the end of time that Jesus is coming back to save them. And you've watched them live their life struggling and dying. And how many of our ancestors, family and friends, have had that belief and left this earth realm with that belief, and they didn't live out this glorious life. So for me, one of the big indicators, if I'm connected to the divine, that means that I have some strong powers. If I come from the divine, that means that I should not be financially incapable of obtaining great wealth. That means that there is abundance that we should all experience within life. And I didn't see that with family and friends. Not a lot. There may be like literally enough to count on my fingers. And that became something that always made me question and wonder and say, like, how come the life of those around me that believe in God, that believe in this divine or higher power, why isn't it that their lives are matching up with that energy? Because I'm like, that energy is so immaculate. How is it that we don't even feel happy? Like, it just always struck a chord within me. And I'm grateful for that chord. I'm grateful for what I saw around me because it allowed me to dig deeper. So if you're in situations where you're feeling like the black sheep, like where nobody understands you, nobody understands you, nobody gets you, nobody sees you, like you just see the world differently, that's great. Because now you can dive deeper with yourself. And that's what really led me to dive in deeper within myself in my soul awakening journey, because it just didn't allow me to stay there. And this is that message to you. Don't stay there. Keep going. Keep searching. Keep going within. Within meaning like sitting with yourself, meditating with yourself, asking yourself these thought-provoking questions. And I'm so grateful that I began asking the tough questions and began to research. And I want you to research. I'm not going to sit here and tell you all the books. I will eventually, that you should be looking into and reading. But this is just part one of a series where what it did for me, looking at why our lives didn't match the divine, I realized we're the problem. We are the problem. I had to realize I was the problem, and I'm only responsible for me in my journey. And so whoever else that I saw around me who I was like, their life just is not matching up with this divine abundance of happiness and joy and compassion and what we all should be experiencing. And so I began to do something about it. And what I began to do is realize that in my deep diving aspect and journey of myself, I realized that I had been in control the whole time. I had been in control of my happiness, my joy, how long I want to stay in that place. And it began activating more within my soul. And that return of Christ is in you. It's in you. It's in your mind. It's when you can move past the barriers of complaining. You remember in the Bible, and I take it with a grain of salt because it's written by men. Okay, so taking that aspect of the Israelites wandering the desert for 40 plus years, over the wilderness, so to speak, and you look at your life and you're like, how long have I been wandering, complaining, begging, and actually not taking initiative to take responsibility and accountability for myself, my thoughts? I never allowed my thoughts to align with the divine. Many of us have been maybe in situations where we have inherited the language of those that we were around, whoever helped bring us up, our guardians. Their language could have been negative. So we may have experienced someone that always spoke negative to us. So not only do we have negative thoughts that we thrived on, self-sabotaging beliefs that we thrived on, but also limiting ourselves because of what we believe. So this process of awakening is really shifting your beliefs into questioning and going within, going deeper down this rabbit hole, so to speak, to awaken your level of consciousness within, to grow closer to the divine. So religion becomes a way of realigning your faith, but it's also requiring you to not keep going around and around, to cut the cycle and pattern of staying where you were to go to where you want to be. And this is a big takeaway from this message, because many of us will have this soul awakening process. I've met with a lot of people who tell me, like, I've had this same soul awakening process. I knew about what you're saying years ago. But the question then becomes, what did you do with it? Why did you stay there? What led you to just keep going back to life the way that you had been? And we have to become so aware of what that is in us that allows us to, one, have that awakening, and then to make a decision after that. Are we going to stay, or are we going to go back to the way life used to be, or are we going to actually go further? That's the key here, is once you have that soul awakening piece within you, is what I was experiencing, then you have to take this further. You have to go deeper. You have to keep going against the grain, going against the beliefs. Ask yourself why. Ask yourself who, where in history did this all come about when it came to religion. I'm, of course, going to share all the facts in other videos, but I wanted this to be like a part one of us really just talking about this Christ consciousness. And for those of you that have felt like the black sheep, know that I see you, I love you, you're not alone, you're heard, you're seen, and to keep going. Wherever you are on the journey, I'm believing this video is meant to find you. And now that it has, ask yourself, what is the next road that you will take? Will you go back now that you know what you know? Will you look into what I'm saying and sharing? Let me know in the comments. All right. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this out with a friend. Alrighty. Peace.